Hey everyone, welcome to episode episode three of this second season of Worship Leader Conversations. Conversations. I need to warm up. I should do this beforehand, really, shouldn't I? I should just kind of warm up my mouth so that my words start coming out properly right from the start. But anyway, thank you for joining me. It is going to be a great night tonight. I'm really looking forward to chatting to Matt and Esther Barnes, who lead worship at Connect Church in Maidstone, which is in Kent. They're going to be joining me very shortly. Hi Esther, you're watching already. I'll bring you in a minute. And also Jay, thanks for watching as well. We're going to be speaking to Jay Atkins next week. I'm really looking forward to that. Jay is a worship leader at a church over in Georgia in the United States. So we're going to be catching up with him next week. Really looking forward to that. Don't forget, if you want, you can catch up on all of these videos on either my IGTV page, feed, whatever you call it. I don't know what young people are calling it these days. But also you can watch on YouTube as well. On my YouTube channel, all the videos get uploaded there fairly soon after we record them. So the link for that is in my bio. It's quite easy, just click on my bio and you can be able to catch up with, we've done like 15 conversations now with worship leaders from this country, from the States. Really excited to be connecting with lots of different people, many of whom I've not met before, not until we actually start chatting here on Instagram. And if you know me well, you know that that's not the sort of thing I'm used to doing, talking to people I've never met before. But doing it this way actually makes it a lot easier. But also it's a great opportunity to build connections and to meet new people, and I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying this lockdown period that we're in, however long it lasts for. Has rather than sit around thinking, I'm going to wait for this to finish and then we'll get back to doing things. I don't think that's the right way to think about this at all. I think we need to kind of think about the opportunities that we have available to us right now, right here, even using digital media like Instagram and Facebook, and doing things that we've never done before. And this certainly has been something I've never done before. I've seen other people do it and do it really well, and that's inspired me to reach out and chat to other worship leaders. And the whole point of that really is that we get to share people's journeys. That's the great thing. So I'm just going to say hello to a few more people. Hi, my mum's watching, and also my mother and father-in-law are watching. Great to see you. Thank you for joining us. It's a family affair tonight. The great thing is that through these videos, we get to hear different people's stories. We get to hear the journeys that people have walked on, the things that they've dealt with. Whenever you're in leadership, whenever you're put in charge of something, and you're carrying a team of people, there are always going to be issues, there are always going to be struggles, there are always going to be successes and great times. It all balances out, and that's always the case when you're involved with leading people in some way. And I really want to find out what it is that makes people tick, what it is that inspires them, what it is that motivates them. Some more people. Kirsty in Hastings, thanks for joining us. Sandra, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to say hello in the comments and let us know where you're watching from. There's so much of a person's journey, and everyone's journey is different, but there's so much that we can learn. And particularly when it comes down to leading worship, as worship leaders, we need to be learning all the time. We need to be listening to others. We need to be reading, not just the Word of God, but we need to be reading other books as well. Learning from other people, learning from other leaders, listening to what they're doing, learning from the good stuff and the bad stuff. We need to be growing all the time. And so that's part of the purpose of these Instagram lives. And thank you, those of you who've been sort of coming back and watching it week in, week out, whether it's here live on Instagram or you're catching up on YouTube. It's so good. Thank you for sticking with it. And I hope tonight, again, we get to hear some great stories and learn some stuff from some great people. I've known Matt and Esther for a few years now. Their church, Connect Church, we'll get into that in a minute, is part of the Synergy Alliance, which was started by our pastor, Andy Elms, and has brought together a whole group of churches from across the country, even overseas as well. And Matt and Esther and their church, they come regularly to our Empire conference that we hold up until now anyway, in March every year. And the great thing is as well, in the last couple of years, we've been able to get them involved in leading the worship at the conference, which is brilliant, which makes it less of a single church's conference and just a whole group of churches that are invested in and leading as part of the congregation. That's really exciting. I love working with these guys. So I'm going to bring in Matt and Esther. Kirsty we spoke to a few weeks ago, but she's watching. I'm getting confused. We all know each other, and that's kind of it gets mixed up in my head. So I'm going to bring in Matt and Esther very shortly. I just want to say, as well as being able to catch up on YouTube and IGTV, that if you're a worship leader watching this and you want to share your story, I would love to speak to you. I would love it if you could get in contact with me, use the message here on Instagram, get in touch with me, let me know who you are, where you're from. I don't even know, you don't have to tell me what your journey is, because we'll find that all out here live on Instagram. That's the exciting thing about doing it this way. I don't have to know what you've been through, we'll find it out live. But get in touch with me, because I would love to be able to hear your story and share it with other people. Because the more stories we hear of how people have grown in leadership, then the more we can learn and grow as well. So get in touch with me, send me a message, drop me a DM through Instagram, or if you can find me on Facebook as well, just send me a message through there. I would love to hear from you. Okay, I think that's it. I don't think I need to talk about anything else, so I am going to bring in Matt and Esther. I hope they're ready and waiting. Here we go. This is always the fun part. Here they are.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Matt and Esther. Thank you for joining me. It's great to see you.
Thanks for having us. It's good to see you too.
And you? Well, I'm apologies for keeping you waiting for so long, but I kind of waffle. You get going and you start talking, and like you have no idea where it's going to end up. So it's
You're all good.
Well, so how are you guys doing?
Yeah, we're all right. Yeah, sort of getting back to normal slowly after lockdown. With work and stuff.
It's not been very slow the last couple of weeks, is it?
No, it's been all systems go, really.
Is that with school as well? And
yeah, our youngest has just started school, so she started
for the first time.
Yeah, so
Very emotional week last week.
Sure, I remember that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
good. Well, okay, so let's get stuck in. First of all, we want to find out about you, because I know a little bit about you, but we want to share your story with everyone watching here. So why don't you take it in turns to tell me how you got to where you are as leading worship in Connect Church. I know, Matt, you're the worship pastor at Connect Church, but the two of you lead together, don't you? So we want to kind of find out about your journeys individually coming to where you are now, but also how you guys work together as a married couple in leadership, leading a team. I'd love to get into that further down the line, if that's okay. But yeah, sure. Let's go. Ladies first. Esther, why don't you tell me how you became a Christian, how you got into leading worship, and how you came to Connect Church and that kind of thing.
Okay, I'll try and keep it short.
That's all right. We've got an hour. It's okay.
Yeah, we just cut that out.
Yeah.
So I was brought up in a Christian home. My parents are Christians, my grandparents were Christians, so kind of very much was surrounded by it. Yeah. Just to lay the foundation, my mother's Welsh, so music runs through.
Yeah.
It just my mum's a singer, my grandmother was a singer, so my grandfather was a pastor of a church, and my grandmother would be there with the piano.
Wow.
Playing, and it was great. They were the great like double team going on.
Yeah.
So yes, I brought up in a Christian home, always singing. Didn't actually start really getting involved with the worship until I was about 15 or 16.
Yeah.
Because I'm also a musical theatre singer, so I'm a professional musical theatre singer.
Okay.
And always wanted to be on stage.
Yeah.
The dream was London.
Yes.
God
and you
had
ended up in Maidstone.
So God had a different plan, but we'll come to that later.
Yeah, sure.
So kind of growing up, you know, through my teenage years, I was involved with a lot of like dance schools and performing arts.
Yes.
And I couldn't, at the age of 14, 15, I couldn't separate the performance and worship.
Yeah.
I couldn't separate those elements. So I'd get onto stage and I'd get ready in my musical theatre stance, you know, which isn't worship. So it was,
Yes.
with it.
Back in the room. Yeah.
Yeah. And then my mum just had to have a real heart to heart with me, and she just said, until you know why you're up there doing worship, you shouldn't be up there.
Yeah.
And it really it hit me quite hard. So anyway, at 18 or 19, I moved to Bristol, and I was part of a Christian volunteer performing arts centre called NGM, which stands for New Generation Music.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ray and Nancy Gowdy, band Heartbeat in the 80s, they did the
I remember them. Yeah.
And celebrate. Yeah. They added clapping.
Oh dear.
Oh, you gotta love them. We sang that song while there, and we changed the words all the time. Come on and sellotape and string. That was bounced around. Yeah, it had to be done. So I trained there for about 3 years, and I had a proper like musical theatre coach. He was absolutely phenomenal. He was from London, and he taught me more there than I think I ever would have learnt at a stage school in London. He was amazing. And then you had the Christian side where we had discipleship, we had our training, we lived by faith, we didn't have an income, I wasn't sponsored, I literally lived every month for God to provide, and he did for 3 years. He provided. While there, I was able to go to Mozambique and work with Heidi and Roland Baker.
Wow, fantastic.
Eye-opening.
Yeah.
I actually got hit over the head by Roland Baker with a Bible. Hit me over the head with it. So that was amazing. And then it was actually during that time, again, I still hadn't done any worship because I was Esther, I was the performer. And I would go in, I would tour with Nancy, so she would go and preach. And I would actually get up on the stage and sing over the women, because she used to do a lot of she still does, women's conferences and things like that. Sure. And I used to sing, God's love and stuff over these women in a very, very, moment. And then we did I can't remember, it was an assignment or something where we had to do something that we hadn't done before. And I remember turning to one of my kind of performing arts students and said, well, I can play the piano. Okay, for anyone who is watching my church, my piano playing is minimal, very minimal. And there was one point in church where I was playing the piano. I was heavily pregnant.
Oh,
my firstborn. And I was playing the piano. I was sitting down, and the sweat was dripping off me. It was August.
You were leading Oceans.
I was leading Oceans.
Oh. And
we were just doing the bit, Spirit lead me where my, and he was popping up, and my finger, I just stopped playing. I completely forgot how to play the next line. My finger slipped off the keyboard just as we were about to go into, what's the chorus? And I will call. Yeah. And I just went, okay, church, just raise our hands.
Literally, the rest of us went there. We all went there.
Yeah, everyone else.
Stopped. I was like, what?
And then like, what? Jesus help me right now. Like the sweat was running down. So yeah, my piano playing is not the best. So anyway, so I got up and actually was in the worship band and playing, and Ray came up to me afterwards, and Ray Gowdy, and he just said to me, he was like, don't go hiding. Like, don't go hiding these little hidden talents here. You're not just a singer with a microphone. And then before my granddad, who I mentioned before he died, I got to spend a bit of time with him on his, sounds morbid, on his deathbed.
Yeah.
And he wasn't speaking right. This like man of God was just talking absolute nonsense.
Yeah.
And we were just there, we're like, yeah, bamps. And we would just sing. We'd sing the old hymns, and like I'd sing with him, and because we were very musical. And I remember just I was lying on the bed next to him, and he just grabbed my hand and he went, Esther. He's Welsh. I won't do the accent. And I was like, yes, Bamper. And he said, you need to sing. You need to sing for Jesus. You need to sing for him. And then he went completely cuckoo again. And I just remember crying.
Wow.
Because at that point I was asking God what my next steps were. We were engaged. Yeah. We were, about to be married the next year. I didn't know if we were going to be in Bristol, if we were going to be back down south.
Yeah.
And that just sort of answered that. And then we moved to Maidstone, which was another God thing. We moved to Maidstone and joined Connect Church.
Yeah.
And Matt's always been, or he'll tell you anyway, but he's like very involved with worship in his old church. And I think, was it Leon like invited us to a worship practice, which they never did. So that was another God thing, because
Yeah.
they never invited outsiders in, you know. And he invited this couple who were like, hello. And I just started singing, and people were just a bit like, oh, you can sing, like you
Yeah.
can sing. So, and then gradually built my confidence up, and because it's quite a nerve-wracking thing going from performing singing
Sure.
to then worship singing, and
Yeah.
and that's kind of and then over the years then got into leading and
Yeah.
doing that sort of stuff.
Fantastic. Wow.
Yes.
That's great. It's fun finding out things about people. It's really great. Oh, thank you, Esther. No, it's great. So, Matt, your turn.
Lot more boring, really. Yes, I wasn't brought up in a Christian household.
Okay.
My mum she was a Roman Catholic, and I met Eddie from Sunrise Church in Hastings when I was 12 years old, and he was very involved with, and his parents were very involved with the church, one of the churches in Hastings, and one of the youth groups.
Is that where you're from, Hastings?
Yeah, born and bred.
Okay, right, yeah.
That's where I'm from. So yeah, met Eddie at school, was invited along to the youth group, absolutely loved it. And so over the sort of next year or so, I was invited along on a Sunday morning. Mum wasn't keen because I was, if I was to go anywhere, it was to be to a Catholic church.
Sure.
Didn't want to go to a Catholic church. Just wasn't my style, not my style, fair enough. Anyway, long story short, I went away to New Wine with the guys, became a Christian there when I was 13, had a real God encounter the next year when I was 14. And when I was 14, I got given my first electric guitar for my birthday, and I knew that I wanted to play music.
Yes.
I said to Mum and Dad, can I play drums? They said no. I said, can I play guitar? I said, as long as you can plug it in. So, hey, press that.
Headphones.
So, me and my Yamaha Pacifica and my 15-watt Marshall amp, we're ready to conquer the world. Just started writing music. So I started writing music with Eddie on the day that I got my guitar. A really, really awful, cheesy. It wasn't even a worship song. It was just a song that we would just. I don't know. We just.
The video's still on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
There's a video.
No, there's not.
There's a video. We need the link of that video.
Okay, great. Anyway,
we'll sort that.
I'm sure Kirsty's still watching. She'll set us up at some point.
Kirsty, get on it, Kirsty.
Anyway, so Eddie and I were writing music over the next few years, and we started to get involved in the church worship band at that point, which was fine. It was sort of songs of fellowship sort of stuff, and just sort of strumming, very kind of background sort of, okay, well, welcome to the team, but you stand over there kind of thing. And
sure.
But it was our first experience of sort of playing in a worship team, and we loved it. And then I think I was 16 or 17. No, 16. And Eddie and I went to Sunrise Church, which was a lot more sort of contemporary.
Yes.
Glenn and Kathy.
Yeah, so Glenn and Kathy Khan.
Yes, absolutely,
And my first memory of that church was us sort of filing into the congregation, and like there were sort of lights and stuff on, and it was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I hadn't really discovered Hillsong at this point, to be honest. I was very naive.
He doesn't know old Hillsong. He's not a true Christian.
Goodness me.
I'm not a true Christian because I didn't know My Redeemer Lives when I got to Connect Church.
How did you not know My Redeemer Lives?
I'm educated now. It's fine. It's all good. Yeah, I know.
They said in the first worship when he was playing drums, the leader was like, "Okay, so Matt, are you ready for your drum solo?" And Matt was like, "Huh?" And I was just like, I don't know him.
Drum solo? What's that? Really? And so had to improvise that. That was interesting.
We still tease him about it now. We're not real Christians, but all Hillsong.
Yeah, clearly I'm not saved.
Yeah.
So does that mean you didn't know? Did you feel the mountains tremble?
No. That was in some of the fellowship, so that was okay.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah. I was well up on that.
He doesn't know Potter's Hand.
I did. I knew that one. Are we just going to go?
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, we're just going to repeat songs now. We need to gauge where you.
Gauge where I am in my spiritual life. Yes.
What kind of ministry you need?
Yeah, so the first thing I remember about Sunrise is seeing this guy just jump off the drum riser to start worship, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. Like this is pretty awesome. So yeah, joined the worship team, and while I was there at Sunrise, it really sort of they really gave me sort of room to express myself, and to become, you know, a good worship guitarist, because I started playing lead guitar, and then over the next sort of 4 or 5 years moved on to leading, and then our paths joined. I used to play in a band with Chris Gowing, Eddie, and a guy called Grant, and we used to play sort of rap, rock, punk, and we used to play in pubs and clubs.
You had it right. You had that right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You go with it. Yeah.
And we used to play with bands. I don't know if you have like Malachi and other bands like that, but we used to play with them. And we entered a competition called Gospel Rock, and that's when I met Esther. Long story short, a few years later we're married, and then we're in Connect Church 8 years ago, pretty much to the day, isn't it? It's September.
We joined, September, 8 years ago.
September. Fantastic. And so you've been leading worship now. So when you moved to Connect, did you take over then as the worship pastor? Did that happen then, or did that take a little while?
No, so it took a while. So we joined.
3 months.
Probably about that, yeah. Leon, who is now our pastor, was the worship leader at the time.
Oh, okay.
And he stepped up to eldership.
Yeah.
And he asked me to sort of take the reins. And yeah, that's
fantastic.
Where it started.
Fantastic. And so you have children?
Yeah, we've got two.
Yeah.
We've got Melody,
two,
who's
fantastic.
7.
Yeah.
And Amelia, who is 4.5.
Fantastic.
Going on 17.
Going on 7, yes, yeah. I know how it is, yes. That's fantastic. That's awesome. Well, I thought it's really great. It's interesting to find out, both your journeys so completely different, but then you end up and you meet and now you're leading together. How do you find the way that each of you individually are, your personalities and that kind of thing, and the experiences that you've come from, how do you find they work together as a couple leading?
Okay, so we both got quite patience. We've both got quite different backgrounds, different upbringings. Different experiences. It sounds harsh, so different temperaments. But
I told you I was Welsh earlier.
Yes.
Temper comes with it.
Don't bother.
But and so that sort of works quite well to sort of bring different perspectives.
Yeah.
So an example would be that I could say I can be quite hot-headed.
Okay.
Like I can often react quite passionately at something and get quite passionate at like an injustice or something I get really oh, and that's okay, let's just take a moment.
Yeah.
And I remember having to write a message to somebody, and I typed out a map can I just read that before you press send? I went, okay, fine. And he just reworded it, still kept the sort of what I was trying to get at, but just in a way that wasn't going to get this person's back right up. So in that sense, it's we bounce a lot off of each other, and if you're frustrated, then I'm quite good at going, well, it's
so you kind of your strengths you draw out of each other, and you kind of sort of balance each other out with your passions and your calmness and so on. You just kind of level each other out.
That's a really good way of looking at it. And everything sort of that we're doing.
There's 8 years of marriage solved right there. Look, there you go.
Exactly. You got it.
It's a bonus.
You got it for free. Thank you.
So tell me about your team that you have at Connect Church. What's it like? How big is it? And what kind of stuff do you do? That kind of thing.
Okay, so our team is, I think there's about 10 of us, maybe about 10 of us. When I took over, we had like 3 drummers, 3 electric guitar. We had so many musicians and so many singers. And then when I took over, one drummer left,
No,
Shoot
don't
someone.
say that. It wasn't because you took
No,
over.
it wasn't because of me.
There was a shift in. I think it's safe to say there was a shift in the church.
Yeah, there
where
was.
you know Leon was stepping up to the
Yeah.
eldership team. Our pastor at the time was ill, like really badly, you know, really unwell, and he'd taken a step back. And sometimes when that happens in churches, if the shepherd leaves, sometimes the sheep don't feel like they can follow whoever's been put in.
Sure.
You know, and I'm not speaking badly at all. Dave
No.
Thompson was an amazing leader. It was a shame we came when we did, because we only had him for like 2 or 3 months, and then he got poorly. So he's all better now, thank the Lord.
Good. Great.
But but when Leon kind of stepped up, Leon stepped up because others had to step up because Dave had stepped down. So it kind of went like this, but then it meant the others then kind of, you know.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anything to do with
There wasn't anything to do with
No,
it.
it's just that leadership shift, isn't it? That it just brings about change, and people handle change in a different way, don't they?
Yeah, that's it.
Exactly.
That's it. But we had a big team, and sort of over the next year or half a year or so, it just gradually shrank down. People
and
left.
children.
Children came along, which meant you know, people couldn't be on at the same time, kind of thing. And but you know, God was good, and we had some really good worship times. And you know, we didn't have drums every week, so what, you know, we had to have small bands most week. But you know, God provides for our every need, and He provide for what is right at the time for you. So you know, we had a small team, but we had great times of worship as a church.
Fantastic.
So
and so over those 8 years, the team has grown a bit back up again, and only recently we've started to see sort of numbers grow.
We've not the 6 months. 6 months from March.
Before up until lockdown. All these conversations they carry up until lockdown, and then we ignore the last 6 months.
I mean, we've had a couple of singers join over the last couple of years. We had a new couple join, and he's a keyboard player, piano player.
We get on very well because he also likes Glee, so I have a fellow companion. As soon as I start saying things to people on the team, they go, "Oh, she goes." She's often one, but he's there, and he'll just randomly start playing Star Wars, which I find hilarious. Others don't, but I'm just like, keep going, Thomas. Like, other people like it.
Fantastic.
So, he's great. He's He definitely came at the right time, didn't he?
Yeah.
And actually, like all of our team members, they came at the exact right time.
Yeah.
And you know, when we either needed it, or actually when we felt that person was ready, because there was one person. I've got to be careful I don't say names, because I'm terrible at like. Have to make sure I don't say names. But one person who just was really nervous about even just approaching us about wanting to join, and we've always had a bit of an open door policy. Just if you have a problem, please come to us. Don't fester on it for a while. Like, please come to us, even if you think it's going to upset us. Please come to us and talk to us about it. And this person just came round for a coffee one day and just said, "Oh, I want to be on the team." And I said, "Oh, what do you want to play?" And they said, "Oh, I'd like to do singing." And I went, "Okay." And I've never heard this person sing before. And as a singer, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Should we hear you sing? Because you know, you need to be able to sing at least. And actually, I put a track on for her, and she, I said she now, and she sang, and she just had the loveliest voice. But it wasn't just her voice; it was what she brought, her worship to God. You can't fault it. She just sings from her heart, doesn't she? And you can hear, it's going to sound really weird, you can hear her love for Jesus through her singing. And it just, and I just sat there and just cried as she sang. And, you know, and she'll say, "Oh, sometimes I go off key." I said, "Yeah, we all do that. It's fine. It's not even worth the thing."
So a sound metaphor.
It's a sound metaphor, yeah.
Yes.
What pads are for, you balance.
That's it.
But yeah, and she came along, and people were just saying, like, when she worships, they felt they could then join in.
Yeah, gives them the permission.
Yeah, it does. Because the worst thing is to see someone up on stage with a microphone and they're just not doing anything. Because you know, well, I saw it once, and my mind, I was going, I wonder what they're thinking about.
Yes.
Exactly. I do.
What's happening up in the ceiling there that's so interesting?
Yes.
That's, you know,
it's so distracted. It's so Matt, a couple of times I've been staring at something in the congregation. Matt's been drumming. He's like, "What are you you doing? I'm like, oh, sorry. Like she's drumming, looking at me, and the kids are causing mayhem below us. Like, yeah. So yeah, timing.
Yeah. Fantastic. So in these 8 years then that you've been sort of leading up the team, I imagine it's been summer and sunny and rosy, and you know, spring gardens the whole time. Yeah. So probably this question will mean absolutely nothing to you, but what kind of struggles have you faced as team leaders, and how have you overcome those obstacles and difficulties?
There's been the odd sort of thing where we've had to, well, that we've seen and maybe we've had to pull people up on. I think, you know, for example, like when we first joined, there was someone who wasn't at church very much, and she was due to be on the week after, so the next week, and she came to church.
She came to church when she was supposed to be on team.
Just when she's on team, yeah.
So we had to sort of.
But the bit of a backstory to this part in our lives is that Matt was only 22 when he took the role of worship leader of the whole team on. Yeah. I was 23. And we were just like that, you know, we got married at 21. I was pregnant at 22, and we'd done everything really kind of early on in life. I'm 30 next Friday, in case anyone wanted to. My youth, I'm like, youth, out there. All my youth know. They're like, "What's happening this Friday, guys?" They're like, "Esther turns 30." Like, I'm telling you. So we kind of, everything's been done very early on, hasn't it? Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're fussed with, oh no, now we have to be really responsible and try.
Yes, you have to be grown up.
When sort of, you know, I took over, there was a lot of support. You know, Leon was very sort of hand-holding for the first period. He was great. Yeah. But we had to learn things quickly because, you know, situations came up. And, you know, I mean, over the last sort of few years, there have been the odd things that have happened, but it's sort of shaped us both into like the leaders that we are today.
Sure.
You know, things that you've been through shaped you in youth, and it shaped me in worship, and then it also relates to a Sunday morning as well when we're leading worship. You know. Yeah. You know, there's been maybe the odd thing that someone hasn't agreed with. That I've done, that I've put in place, and my advice to anyone that has that is just take the time, don't retaliate straight away, and just let it cool down, and then go back the next day or you know, later on, and just say, right, should we address that? Should we, you know, now that everything's calmed down, let's talk, shall we? Yeah. You'll get a better response. But I mean that's really it, to be honest.
Well, I was going to say for me the hardest thing over the last 8 years has been having the girls, having the children. Okay, sure. You know, we had Melody, so we were married 5 months, and I found out I was pregnant. Yeah. There goes the 5-year plan out the window. So we didn't really have that first year of marriage. Sure. It kind of got wiped out of our feet. So I was, you know, I've only been at the church, haven't we, for like 5 months. And when we found out we were pregnant, a friend of ours who was also on the worship team, who was actually the pastor's daughter, announced to the church that she was pregnant. So I had this like instant connection and this friendship, and that was a real God thing, because she really needed a friend at that time who was going through the same thing, and I was obviously, you know, 6 weeks behind her, and so that was amazing. So I didn't really come back onto the team until Melody was, I think I tried to come on at a Christmas service. So when she was about 3 months old. Yeah. And we were doing a Christmas service, and she screamed the entire time. And I'd given her to my friend who didn't have children at the time. But she was brilliant, and she was just like, I don't know what to do. I'm screaming, and I'm like, I'm singing carols. So we tried to not be on band as much as possible, but Melody, even now as a 7-year-old, she's very quick at picking things up. She's a bit too clever for my liking. So she's very quick. So after a few months, she cottoned on that, oh, okay, actually mummy and daddy need to be up the front. And she would go to anybody when, you know, at a certain age. But there were, I mean, the women in our church were just incredible, and put up with a lot from that screaming baby. And then we had a couple of years of bliss of being on the team together. And then I had Amelia.
Yeah.
Who literally turned our world upside down.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's like completely different to Melody.
Sure.
And she just would not go to anybody. She literally wouldn't go to anyone. And there was one point somebody had taken her out. I was leading worship, and her screams were so loud down the other end of the corridor.
Yeah.
I could hear it. So in a quiet moment, I just looked at, I think Leon was on with me, and Leon just took over, and I was just praying, and I just walked out, and this woman who was a mum of 3 just said to me, maybe you Matt shouldn't be on worship anymore together. And at that point I just thought, I think you're right. So we then had another couple of years where we alternated worship.
Yeah.
But I think I kind of want to say, like, for those like women, women leaders or women who want to be in the worship team, like, it's okay to put your children first, because I felt a lot of guilt that I wasn't either up in the team, and then I felt guilt when I'd left my kids. Like, it's okay to put your children first, but at the same time, if God has called you to something, he's given you a gift, it's okay to hand your children to a safe person so that you can do the work that God has given you to do.
That's right.
And I really, really struggle with that. And it's actually only in the last year and a half in the last year, Amelia stays with Mandy, Leon's wife, and her son Judd. They're playing down the front. And I remember just looking at Mandy, and Mandy just going, yeah, she's good, carry on. I was a bit like, okay, let's start. Like,
it's all good. Brilliant. Let's go.
It really was.
Fantastic.
And, so it's been really, really difficult, but God blesses you, like, through the trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
You do come out on the other side. You do.
Actually, what we've seen through that is, obviously, in most churches, you get the kids sitting at the back, sort of not really engaged and stuff. But actually, by sort of throwing a load of colouring and toys at Melody and Amelia and saying, right, you sit here down front, we've actually seen all the kids.
Some of the kids, other kids come down as well. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, so it's beautiful to see.
And we're not a church where kids have to sit down quietly.
No.
Not at all. Like, there's Amelia. At one point, she's got a hold of a car, and one of the elders was speaking, and she just went vroom and let it go, and it just went land in front of his feet. And I was there like,
love it.
I'm crawling on my hands and knees to get this card.
Oh wow!
And they just and Leon and Mandy just thought it was brilliant, and they love her, and I can see Mandy, we love her so much.
Yes.
We love you guys.
Fantastic.
And and I think that's a lovely thing as well about a family church, is that it is, as cheesy as it sounds, it is a family. Yeah. And I don't know what we would have done without them. We love them all and miss them terribly. So it's great.
Fantastic. So is there anything then over the last 8 years, and maybe include your time at Sunrise here as well, Matt, but things that you've done as leaders or that you've seen leaders do that has brought out growth in your team? Not just like that people are just kind of like happy and that they feel they're plugged in or anything, but actually you've done something and people just suddenly their motivation leapt up, their desire to get involved increased in some way. Is there anything like that?
Something that I think is really important when you run any team is community, that community feel. For the first few years at least, of my time, that we didn't really meet up very much. That's on me. That was my fault. I was young, whatever the excuse is. But I really felt like God was saying, you need to build community.
Sure.
And so I think it's fair to say that maybe the worship in our church at the time had sometimes it was like singing to a brick wall. Not that you looked to get anything back, but you were getting nothing back from the congregation. And I just felt God saying, you need to build community in the team, and we'll go from there, basically. So we started putting a monthly meet-up together. I hate calling them meetings, so we call them gathering. And we just wanted it to be fun. Like, we wanted to build the team. We wanted to feed them.
That's always good.
And also, spiritually with lessons or like, I found this message. This really touched me. See what you guys think. And we'd sit and talk about it one month or next month. With like Esther would do a massive spag bowl, and we'd all just sort of sit around the table and eat.
Fantastic.
And through doing that, through building community, we not only found that, you know, people were sort of more motivated on Sunday morning, but, you know, we were standing, you know, in Zephaniah it says shoulder to shoulder, you know, we were standing shoulder to shoulder on a Sunday morning, and it felt like we were we felt like we were really connected as a team. We knew where each other were going musically, and through that we actually also we've seen it spill out onto the congregation, and you know, people's expression of worship has changed a lot.
You said about the first worship meeting.
The first worship gathering. The first worship gathering, everyone sort of getting sat down and you know, got their iPads and their notepads ready to take notes and stuff. And Esther hit them with a 3-year-old's puzzle, and split them into 2 teams. And right, first to complete wins, go! And put the iPads and notepads down.
Fantastic.
Get on the floor, and I've got a beautiful picture of all the, you know, sort of leaders and stuff doing this kids puzzle. It's brilliant. Sophia the first.
Brilliant idea. Brilliant.
And a Disney princess one, because that's what we had at the time.
That's it.
You know, I was brought up with that. I don't know if you remember, Matt, but when people pray, they go, "Let's pray," and it's like the prayer starts. They put their hands together, heads down, and they all stand in a circle. And I was just a bit like, why do we do? And I really used to struggle with going to prayer meetings. That everyone went, "Let's pray," and they'd all bow their heads, and I'm like, "Oh, prayer should not be boring. Come on." And we'd been asked to be Connect group leaders, and we would be like, "Oh, really? You really want us? Are you sure?" Like, and they're like, "Yeah, we can have it at your house," and you know, and host. Sorry, we at least we were the hosts. And we're like, "That's okay." And one of the elders who we've grown to really like love and respect, but we never saw eye to eye at the beginning, and he's very, very serious. He's a very serious elder. We got in, and I tipped the what are those blocks called?
Tupelo? No, it's not, is it?
The big
block.
Building block, mega blocks.
Yeah.
I tipped the mega blocks out and went, "First person to build the tallest tower, go." And he literally sat there like,
"What?
We are in a church meeting," and like a couple of people were just like, "Let's do it." And then he got on the floor on his knees and went, "Right, everyone move, let me do it." And he was like,
That's great.
And it just completely broke the ice.
Yes.
It broke and people were just like laughing, and I love laughter. I'm not a very serious person. I get told off for like giggling when I shouldn't. And it was
it's all about like injecting sort of personality into it. So, inject your personality into your teams. Have fun. But be listening to what God is saying, you know?
No, that's really good. And I love that, you know, when you throw in something like that is, you know, a kid's activity to a whole group of adults, or, you know, young adults, old adults, whatever, it completely, it removes all of the pretense and the supposed maturity that we're all trying to, you know, convey, and just kind of like drops everyone down to the same level. And they get into it or they don't. But if they don't, then they're going to struggle. But when they do, it removes all the stigma, all the weirdness, and people just kind of, they just discover their childlikeness again, don't they? It's great. That's a great idea. I love it.
But that also fed into, you know, what we were seeing back from our church, and what we're trying to feed into our church as well. You know, trying to break down the walls of like self. What do you call it?
Self-consciousness, so what you mean.
We were really trying to break that down at the time, and God was talking to me about, you know, the expression of worship, and at the time I fell upon the books Holy Roar. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
What a book. Talks about the 7 Hebrew words of praise. And over sort of the next few years, I was like bringing teaching to the church, teaching to the team about sort of, you know, it's okay, like, it's not a show if you raise your hands, it's not a show if you dance, it's not a show if you shout. You know, this is what it says in the Bible about these people who literally bared their souls in praise and didn't care what everyone else was doing around them. And actually, since doing that and since introducing songs like Almighty Ones that we had at
Oh,
conference.
Yeah.
But we brought Almighty One. So literally, so there was
Purple.
so me, Matt, Mandy and Leon that year, and it came out, and we were
Yes.
all four of us were just like dancing like crazy at conference, and like watching all the youth get run up on the stage, and I was like, yes, like this is what it's about. Like, come on, people just like blowing off the cobwebs and doing it. So we went back to church, and literally I said to Leon, I was like, can we? He went, yes. I didn't even let me finish. I was like, oh, okay, we'll bring it. And I brought it to the church, and literally I was met with
Crickets.
Yeah,
Mm,
weren't
yeah.
really sure what
Yeah.
to do,
So
and
I grabbed a lady in our church who I didn't realise at the time was feeling really ill. And I grabbed her and Mandy and I yanked them up to the front. I was like, right, come on, we're going to dance with Jesus. Come on, kids, let's get down. And actually, she came up to me at the end and she was like, Joe, I felt really ill when you pulled me up. I went, I'm really sorry. She went, don't apologise. Jesus did something in me. I was like, great. Excellent. But it, you know, and then they went out one service and Leon got rid of all the chairs. So they had to come back in and stand. So we did the song again. And I was like, come on, you can dance. You can't sit down now.
You're taking away people's safe space in church.
It was
Yeah,
their reserved seating.
Yes.
people standing where they normally sit, and
Yeah.
It was really funny. But do you know what? It did. It was just chipping away at the ice block.
Yeah.
You know, you can get a really big ice block sometimes, and you know, one smack isn't going to smash it. It's not going to shatter it. Sometimes it is that persevering and chipping away at it, and
That's right.
that's basically what it is.
spawn
You
through.
know?
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, and it's that just the determination to keep going even when you don't see anything happening. It builds character in you as leaders, doesn't it? Because it tests you. If you see that something should be happening, and you're doing something to bring the congregation toward that thing over a period of weeks, not just in a meeting, but over a period of weeks, it tests you as a leader to clarify what it is that you're seeing, and do you really want this? Is that the kind of thing that you found as you've been leading and kind of pursuing these things? Is that something that you've seen in yourself?
What, as in trying to?
As in, you kind of your vision is clarified. You become more determined, or you feel that pressure to give in, and you choose not to, and all that kind of thing.
Yeah. If anyone knows me, I hate preaching.
Okay.
I'm just not comfortable doing it unless I've got a guitar in my hand, when this especially was laid on my heart to sort of encourage the church and bring the church, it was done in the form of a preach, and I was really nervous and didn't want to do it, but actually got on with that, and I was actually went really well, and people were came up to me and said that they got a lot out of it and stuff.
Good.
And actually then seeing over a period of time the shift in people with their worship, and actually what God laid on my heart at that time, we're seeing fruits of it now. And that's
fantastic.
Not just through what I've done, it's through what the rest of the team have done as well.
What you also brought new people.
It did, but it's not just a case of sort of like me giving something to the church. It's saying, right, guys, this is what I believe I want to be driving forward with the team. Let's all get behind it, and let's see God move in our services. So
fantastic. That's really good. Thanks, guys, for sharing so much tonight. It's been really good. I've got a couple more questions. What's the time? We're 12 minutes away before Instagram kicks us off. So we'll fill up those 12 minutes. First of all, is there any advice that you individually, or even as a married couple, have been given over the years that has really stuck by you, really kind of almost molded how you've grown, even?
Esther?
Oh, that's all right, yeah. I don't know. It's I think being brought up in the Christian home, for me, going to church on a Sunday morning, there was no other option. It was you went to church. I mean, you laugh because you know my mother. I was telling my youth actually on Sunday a story that I was lying in bed on Sunday morning. I must have been about 15, and my dad came in and he was like, "Oh, it's time to get up for church." And my dad's a very quiet English man, and he married a very loud Welsh woman, and I was like, "Oh, Dad, I'm just not feeling well. I've got, you know, stomach cramps, you know, lady things." And he was so embarrassed, he ran out the room as quick as he could. And I was like, "Yes, I've won." And
That's it. That's how to do it.
It is like, you know, if you want to embarrass your dad. And when downstairs I heard, "If she doesn't get out of bed in the next 5 minutes, I'm going up there with water." I was out of the bed like a shot.
So you straight up, yeah.
So straight up. So we had no kind of like choice to not do church. Even when I was doing all of the shows and stuff, you know, when I was growing up as a young person, my mother went to the head of the dance school and said, "Yeah, Esther won't be joining you till 12:30 because that's when church finishes." Like, and actually, like, her faith and her commitment has really it's like grated on me. And you know, we're now in that season with the girls where the birthday party invitations have started rolling in, and of course Sunday morning, and I'm like, oh no. And Melody was invited last year to this friend's party who she was a very good friend of, you know, and I just went, "Mel," I said, "what do we do on a Sunday morning?" And I didn't prompt her, she just went, "Church." I said, "So yeah, why do we go to church?" And she just said, she went, "To see Anna." I went, "Well, no." Anna's one of her friends. I went, not pie, but, you know, and we just had a chat about it. But actually, you know, what my mother taught me through being harsh at times, what I felt was harsh, actually she was teaching me as a Christian, as a mother, as a person, about let your yes be yes and your no be no. And actually that's really taught me a lot as a leader as well. If I've said, you know, I'm going to do a youth social, no matter how ill I feel, I need to carry on and do it, you know. Especially with doing them on Zoom recently, I could have quite easily have gone, "Oh, do you know what, guys, I'm just not feeling myself," but actually that's not good for them. And so that for me, it's, you know, it's easy to say, "Oh, we'll do church later." Actually, no, come on, let's do church like on a Sunday morning when everyone else is doing it, so you're with each other.
Fantastic. Have you, Matt?
I've necessarily been given any. I mean, I'm sure I've been given loads of pearls of wisdom over the years, but I'm one of these people that forgets things. So,
Tell me that.
Everything I've been told, I'm sure has had an.
It's been great.
Thank you all so much. But no, what I would say is, look for role models. Look for people who you want to be like. You know, and take aspects from them. Like, for example, one of my sort of role models, if you will, is not a Christian, is my boss at work. The way that he leads us, I think is fantastic. And actually, I take a lot from how he does stuff at work and how he is with us and how he respects us and stuff. And I bring that to the team.
That's great.
And that's maybe something I'll just say is, you know, don't look for people who might not necessarily be Christians as well as role models. And just take the good things and adapt it to you.
But with that as well, look for people that are gonna like not just lift you and encourage you, but also people that are gonna be like honest with you. You know, there's that verse. In fact, I heard Gina say it at a ladies' conference about iron sharpening iron. You know, you need to find that person in your life, someone who's going to sharpen your iron. And I've got friends who I can go to and who I know one of them is watching, who I will go to, and they will be completely honest with me, even if I don't want to hear it. And she'll at one point, like, she'll say, "Right, have you finished having a wine?" I'm like, "No." And she was like, "Well, be done. It's done.
We're done. We're finished."
She, you know, and sometimes you need that harsh, you know. So find that person who, like, iron sharpening iron. And if you do have that relationship, either in your team or in your church or something, that is bringing you down, like, address it. Don't brush it under the carpet so that it grows into a bigger mountain. Don't do that. We've done that, and it's horrible when you then have to take it out from under the carpet. It's so that would
Fantastic. All right, final question. Are there any books or podcasts that you listen to, books that you're reading that you would really recommend other worship leaders get hold of and read?
I listen to the Worship Together podcast. Which, I mean, over the last couple of years has just been an amazing resource for me. Just sort of stick it on at work and listen. And if you can get past how American it is, because it's well American, then it's really good. And, you know, they do like team talk where they sort of talk about, you know, what's going on in their different teams during the week. New Song Cafe. That's where it comes from.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And so they get artists like Phil Wickham, Hillsong, and that they come in and do like acoustic versions of songs, and they talk about they dissect it. This is where it, from the point of view it was written from, and things like that. And it's brought up some really interesting songs over the last few years. Like Living Hope is one of my favourite songs.
Yes.
Christmas Day.
Christmas Day, banger.
Yeah, Christmas Day, but
I haven't. No. Oh.
God, seriously.
I feel what's happening?
Honestly,
this can't be right.
I had the singers like learning the and I had them like we were doing it.
Oh, Christmas Day. Yes, of course.
Yeah,
Yes. Of course, I know. Yeah.
I love
No, I do. Yes. I do know it. Yes, and it's a brilliant song. Yes, love it. Yeah.
I'd sing it every Sunday, but it's not Christmas Day every Sunday.
Yeah.
I like the Adore off that album as well. Is really good. It's written by Graham Kendrick as well.
Yeah.
God, no.
Yeah. There you go.
Sorry, that's before my
freebie for you. Careful now. Careful now.
So worship together for me, and also I'm reading Live, Love, Lead by Brian Houston.
Brian Houston,
which is I'm not that far into it at the moment, but it's really good.
Good.
I've just read with my youth boys, so we met up over the summer in 2 groups because I've got 4 boys and then 5 girls, so we were able to meet up for the 6th in garden, all socially distanced.
Fantastic.
And I had a book for the girls and a book for the boys, but the boys book is one I read when I was 14, 15. Run Baby Run by Nicky Cruz.
Yes, classic.
I was reading it, and I was reading it at a point I'm going, oh, I forgot how graphic that is. So
yes.
I was on WhatsApp, I'm like, boys, hope you're okay. Hope you haven't got to page 39 yet. But they don't talk very much, young people, do they? Unless you talk about like, I don't know, PlayStation or something else. They don't tend to talk. But this book just got them talking.
Yeah.
And it's not your normal conventional autobiography. It's definitely, so if you are thinking, I want something to read that's not necessarily teaching, because sometimes I think you need a bit of a break, don't you? You need a bit of a brain break from theology and stuff that's been put in. But if you want a book to read that just you can get your teeth into, Run Baby Run by Nicky Cruz. It's just amazing.
And classic, isn't it? Yeah, it's great.
And my copy that I was using is about 15 years old, so that's good. And I'm about to read a book called Kisses from Kate.
Right.
About a missionary who goes to Africa. My mum, again, said that I should read it. So, again, it's just like an autobiography, and I like reading about other people. Yeah. I really enjoy. I learn a lot from that.
Yeah. So, exactly. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, listen, thank you so much for giving up your time this evening. It's been really great to connect with you guys. I mean, we haven't seen each other since March, and it's been nice to kind of reconnect with you guys. And sharing your journeys tonight. It's been so good to hear, and I love hearing the different walks that people have. So many different experiences, but there's so many similarities to our walks that we can still learn from and draw from for our own walks. Brilliant. Anything just like we got like 2 minutes left before we get kicked off Instagram. So anything else you want to say quickly, Go?
I think for me personally, I'm on a real thing at the moment for like singers, and like there's a real thing between like performing when you worship and then actually like worshiping. And I just want to say there is no shame in like getting some training, like particularly for singers, obviously because that's where I'm from. But even in any art form or whatever, getting training for your craft, like we need to be giving God our best. And actually, if you need to learn how to breathe properly, how to be able to sustain long notes so that you can really glorify God when you sing those songs, there is absolutely no shame in that. And I know like a couple of our team like are having singing lessons either with another teacher, or I'm a singing teacher, so I'm teaching some people as well. And you know what, like just for them being able to feel confident allows them to open up and then freely worship without them wondering, oh, am I hitting that note? Oh, so, if you are kind of like feeling guilty, I've tried. I'm never teaching him ever again. I give up.
It doesn't work.
I tried to teach you a guitar, it didn't work.
Nails, it's the nails. And the marriage. So, so just that there is no shame whatsoever. And in fact, I encourage you, if you are struggling, get some singing lessons from somewhere.
That's really good.
It's a really, God wants us to give him his best. And, so
Fantastic. Brilliant. Oh, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
We've got
you,
1
Matt.
minute, 10 seconds left, but it's been great. It's been great chatting with you. I love catching up with you so much. And we will see you again soon sometime, I hope.
Absolutely.
That sounds amazing. Thanks, Matt.
See you later. See you guys later.
Bye.
So that's Matt and Esther Barnes, fantastic couple, love them to bits. So next week, it's Jay Akins, who I think is, I don't know if he's still watching, hopefully, but we're going to be chatting to Jay Akins, who is a worship pastor at Eagles Landing. I had to check that. Eagles Landing First Baptist Church in Griffin in Georgia, over in the States. So we're going to be catching up with him next week. Looking forward to that. Going to be a really interesting conversation, I think. And this, like I said before, if you're a worship leader and you want to share your story, get in touch with me. I would love to have you on. I'd love to hear your journey and share it here on Instagram. Thank you for joining me tonight. It's been another full hour. These conversations, they just go on and on. It's been fantastic. Noel Robinson kind of set a standard there. I will see you next week. Thank you for joining me. Goodbye.